So welcome to our Power Up SharePoint Office 365 Business Applications webinar. This is the third in a series we have done. We had session 1, session 2. This is session 3 on reporting, where good data equals good decisions. My name is Scott Restivo. I'm presenting this today. I am the founder and CEO of Crow Canyon Systems. Crow Canyon Systems has been around since 1999. We're based in Benicia, California, which is in the North Bay. We have done thousands and thousands of SharePoint and Office 365 applications, implementations around the world. We have a number of large customers in government, in finance, banking, electrical industry, manufacturing. We have a number of applications we provide. Now, we'll go into this more later. We're not focused in this webinar particularly on Crow Canyon applications, but here's a list. You can see this on our website. Just a full range of applications we have built in SharePoint, 2010, 2013, and Office 365. We also do a lot of custom development projects on those same platforms. What Crow Canyon is about lately has been implementing this digital workplace concept that has been big in the Microsoft world. The idea is that to provide a consumer-like interface, a consumer-like computing environment, and Office 365 is really kind of leading the charge in that. I was up at the Microsoft headquarters last weekend for the Redmond SharePoint Saturday, and this is a picture I took of their display they had in the conference center. And this is a big thing there at Microsoft, is this whole idea of digital transformation, where you're consolidating disparate applications into one platform, taking these ad hoc and legacy programs and moving it into this modern cloud-based, mobile-first kind of environment. And Crow Canyon is right along with that with our applications. And that's what we do with Office 365 and SharePoint. What are the objectives of this session? Well, first of all, the first session 1 was UI UX, session 2 is workflow, and this is about reporting. Those two are available as recordings and webinars that you can see on our video library. But this one is focused on reporting and analytics. We'll go through continual service improvement. We'll look at the different types of reports and how they are displayed and used, point out the need for good data, and then look at some reporting tools. We'll do some live demos, and then see some of the Nitro application layer. That's our unique application layer that our applications and custom development are based on. We'll go into that a little bit. So there'll be some live demos coming up. First, we'll go through the reporting and analytics. Here we go. Continual service improvement. Getting better, a little better all the time. This is probably pretty obvious. Why are reporting and analytics important? Our goal is to answer key business questions such as, are we meeting service level goals? Are things performing optimally? What are common issues? These kind of things that are persistently there when we're always trying to make our business, our organization operate better. So we have these questions, but how would they be answered? Well, there's several tools, and we'll dive into these quite a bit later in this webinar, but different kinds of tools, dashboards, workspaces, report center. We'll get into Power BI a bit. The idea here is that SharePoint and Office 365 can provide these capabilities, if done right, to give you the reporting and analytics that you need to drive improvement in your organization. So let's look at this a little bit more detail, okay? Okay, reporting and analytics. This whole concept of continuous cycle of improvement. We emphasize this a lot in our applications. There is this element of queue management where there is a request that comes in and has to be taken through the process. We also have another approach to that, which is not just a queue management, but also circling back and saying, how can things have been done better? What is this continuous cycle of improvement that this ticks in the queue, how they perform, how long they take to close? What is that telling you? Is there some root cause, and what is the fix? So what we want to find out is what the root cause, and we'll go into this a bit more later. I have another slide on those 4 areas. But the concept is find the root cause and fix it and see how that can improve your performance. And reporting and analytics lend itself very well to that. So this is based somewhat on the ITSM, IT Service Management concepts. This was a framework developed, I believe, in the UK some 20-odd years ago, where the emphasis is really taking a proactive approach to determine what the problems are, and then using that knowledge to make the services continuously be better. So this is what we're driving for in the reporting and analytics side of our applications, or in your applications there. What it really means, and I think this is the important part, is it's taking a step back and getting out of this firefighting workaround, temporary quick fix mode, the kind of band-aid mode, and really saying, what is the best way to do something? That takes, sometimes taking a breath and taking a look at the analytics and just taking the time to make things better. What's the goal of continuous service improvement and a core tenet of ITSM? Now, this doesn't matter if you're in IT or not. It can apply to many operations in your organization and processes. It could be manufacturing, it could be QA, it could be HR, it could be administration, it could be customer support. The concept is basically there of this continuous improvement. Basically, it's aimed at the one question: how can we do this better? Very good question to ask, and that's how sometimes it's critical to ask, because your competition may be doing it better and therefore winning business, or just internally you may want to reduce costs or provide better service to your customers or members or clients or whatever. So you always want to be asking this question, and it can be applied to any aspect of your organization. I listed a few there, but really the list goes on, and anywhere in your organization you can likely find a place where things could be improved. There's always room to improve. So that's what the reporting and analytics is all about. But primarily in continuous service improvement, especially in the IT world, but this could apply other places, we're really looking at 4 areas of focus. Is it hardware, software, procedures, people? So these areas are what generally rise to the surface when doing this kind of analysis of where the stuck points are. So one is hardware. Is something broken or not working or needs upgrading, or it's no longer meets business needs? It may be outdated, needs replacing. And that's quite often the case in IT help desk, and our asset management and equipment tracking programs lend themselves well to that kind of maintenance where you're looking at regular maintenance or how old something is or how many problems it had. So it helps identify if hardware is actually the issue. It could be software. It could be no longer applicable to your requirements. It could have been outdated software. It could be clunky software that doesn't work quite right. It could be needing upgrade on that software, patching or even replacing. Another area is procedures. Maybe the way things are done is not quite right. It's in a manufacturing, but I always think of these like cheese factories I go look at sometimes, where they take these chunks of cheese and move it from one conveyor belt to the other. I don't know. Anyways, the idea is that in procedures, there's a flow of work, whether it's you're packing cheese or you're manufacturing something or you're onboarding people or you're managing customer relations, those kind of things. There's procedures, and those always need careful examination as to, is that the problem? Is there something, we could do it this way instead of that way and it'd be better? It would get the cheese wrapped quicker or less waste or something like that. Then people, and it's easy to say, the people, they just aren't doing a good job, but a lot of times it could be they're improperly trained, or they're the wrong person for the wrong job, or they just need the better tools. So looking at these 4 areas of focus gives us ways to kind of enter into this question of how can we do things better. Improving your organization's ability to make choices, yeah, it's necessary to remain competitive, that's obvious. And making these kind of decisions is not possible without these performance-driven information, and that's what reporting analytics is all about. What I'm doing here is kind of laying the foundation of why reporting and analytics side of things is very important to give consideration to and use it in ways that can be productive and improve our service. And that can be done in SharePoint and Office 365 quite well. So let's dig into this a little bit more and see where we can go with this and make our applications really useful, not only in managing queues, but also providing the data and analytics we need to continuously improve our service and operations in our organization. One question that comes up: what kinds of reports are needed? Many ways to display data, but which ones are needed? Which ones are relevant? Some reports can be just distracting. They can be ones that are I don't know, almost like not the right data, so misleading in some sense. So we want to be careful about what reports we generate. So the question really comes down to the classic who, what, when, where, how that we always ask, in different circumstances. I guess journalists ask this a lot, criminal investigation. But if you think about CSI is kind of funny because it's crime scene investigation. I always think that's odd that it's also continuous service improvement. So in a way, continuous service improvement is something like the crime scene investigation, I suppose, though it's not really a crime, of course. But the idea is that there's an investigation aspect to it that we want to utilize and examine, and how can we do this better? How can we make things better? So who should be able to view the reports? Who are the reports for? What reports are needed? What kind of reports? When are they needed? When are they needed? Every week, every day? Where should they be viewed? In a mobile device, in a browser, inside a portal, or whatever? And how should they be displayed? There's many, many ways to display data. And that's an important question, because how it's displayed also is how useful it is to the person that's getting that display. So I just broke this down, and of course there's many ways, many types of reports, but I just broke it down generally into two types. Obviously there's other ways to break this down, but I think of the immediate real-time views and then the historical views and trends, and they have different purposes for different people. The immediate ones would apply more to service desk staff in the middle of the actual operation going on right then and there. The historical view would tend to be more for managers or directors, VPs, whatever, so they can look back and say how many more requests, or how are they taking longer? What type of request is it? Where are the bottlenecks? What's slowing down? Whereas in the immediate view, it's more like how many things have to be done today? What's the most important thing? How can things get done? So there's different types of report display data in different ways. So let's look into that a little bit. Dashboards display information graphically. Everybody likes dashboards, like dashboard in your car or something, how fast you're going. But in this case, it's visual displays, usually with counters, gauges, some kind of meter. You can click the number there usually and drill down into the actual 18 overdue tickets, for example, or 17 on the sign. These are usually configurable to be how you want it. So you get this kind of instant, real-time, instantaneous display of information, and then possibly take action on it. If the overdues go over a certain amount, maybe some action is required, or if there's too many open tickets. I mean, these all can give you instantaneous information into what action should take place. Another interesting kind of immediate, real-time view that can be done in SharePoint or Office 365 are SharePoint lists. They have a lot of power and capability. I mean, let's not discount them. You can filter, group, sort. You can see how many tickets from this location, or from this requester, or from this department, or how many are high priority, sorting. You can have many different kinds of views. So list views are quite useful capability to use for immediate view. I mean, it has its purposes. And then with some of our Nitro application layer, we've enhanced the list where you can highlight the ones that are high priority, or make them more in bold, and have a different kind of color indicators. And you can see the difference between a standard list and one that's been customized or enhanced, I guess, with some extra coding, some web parts or apps that we provide as part of our Nitro application layer. You can really get a lot more useful way of viewing the list. So we had dashboards, now there's lists. Another one is configurable workspaces. You can take pages inside of SharePoint and Office 365, ASPX pages, and put in different elements that are useful for you. So it serves as kind of a reporting, or like immediate kind of reporting interface, where you're seeing all the overdue tickets listed up above, or the different kinds of reports that you can embed in here. We'll go into this more later, and that'll be some of our live demo. We'll go into how that's done and what can be displayed. And of course, everything has to be available these days on the mobile devices and responsive design, because people are using tablets or smartphones, and they want to get this data and this information available on those portable devices as well as the desktops. So we went over the immediate real-time views, the historical views. We looked at dashboards, list views, configurable workspaces, and the need for them to be mobile. Now we'll go into historical views, which tend to be more like charts, tables, graphs, more comprehensive information than just the immediate view of what's going on. You want to look back over months, you want to look back over time and see trends. Now, before we go into that, though, we want to consider one other thing. A report will not be good unless there's good data. So we want to consider where the data comes from. So good data equals good reports equals good decision making. That's pretty obvious, but a lot of times if we don't remember that, we don't realize it. I mean, something's so obvious we can skip right over it, but you do need good data to get good reports, and good reports help guide decision making that is important to where the business goes and how it can improve its service, or whether it should be doing things differently, maybe drop a service that isn't very successful or whatever. So this kind of decision making comes from good data. So where does the data come from? So as a request goes through its life cycle, as a request for service or a question or an inquiry or a break-fix problem comes in, data is generated all down the line. So we want to make sure we gather the data points you need. Part of designing an application is not just looking at it as, oh, user needs to fill this in, or that needs to be, the staff members need to fill that in, but also there may be other fields that may not be of immediate use to that person, the end user or the staff person, but are of good use or important use later in the reporting and analytics. So we have to be sure that we gather all the data points. So we looked at the 3 pillars of application design in the previous webinars. We're in the 3rd one right now, but I want to emphasize the point here that UI and UX and workflow drive into reporting. So you have the queue management going on. You have the people entering in information through forms or email or however. You have the workflow that's processing that request or ticket or question or inquiry or need or whatever. And that's all very important, but we also use that information to drive our reporting and analytics so that we can look back and do that continuous cycle of improvement that we were talking about, that investigation into what could be done better. So without the good information, the good data, we don't have as much flexibility or capability to analyze and see what could be done better. There are various ways, and we covered some of this in the previous UI, UX, and workflow sessions, but you want a form where people are going to enter in information and has all the fields that they need. It's easy for them to engage with. I won't belabor this too much. There are webinars and videos on this that we have. You can also use portals. Portals have forms where you can submit and edit. This was covered somewhat in the UI, UX, and workflow sessions we did previously, but I just want to emphasize here that now we're pointing out how these forms and this information leads into reporting aspect of the application development. So we looked at where data comes from. I just talked a minute ago about forms that users or customers fill in. Also, sometimes the forms pull in Active Directory information, like the requester's department or whatever, location. It could pull from membership databases. So we're gathering information into the system so that it can be used for reporting. It could be system events. When is it created? When is it modified? How long does it take to do something? How long has it been sitting there where it hasn't been modified? There's worker-initiated events where a technician or whomever will reassign it, escalate it. We want markers for that in our data gathering as we go through the processing of these requests or whatever. Worker input, or they can change fields, you can add the log. You also could generate surveys of users after the request is completed, and that is another form of data source. Again, be sure to gather the data points you need for reporting. The idea here is hopefully pretty clear that if you have good data and you have to set up your applications to gather that data without overburdening anyone, a lot of it can be automatic, maybe pulled in automatically or system events, whatever. But you do want to be conscious of the fact that this data is going to have a purpose other than the immediate queue management, that it's going to be also for possible reporting. It may seem irrelevant at the time, but actually it is quite important when the stats come down the line and you want to know when that ticket was created, when it's assigned, who reassigned it, at what time, how long has it been sitting there, has the service level agreement been exceeded. These are things that are gathered from data that's on the form itself, on the request and processing as it goes through its workflow and on its path to resolution. So I want to make those points. Now I'm going to jump back into an area we didn't cover. We talked about the immediate type of reports, and we showed dashboards, configurable workspaces, list views, things like that. But the historical reports I didn't cover because I was going to jump into them now with and show you some reporting tools with live demo. Give me a second here and I'll regroup, and now we're going to go into live demo land. Well, first I'll show you a couple things and then we'll go into live demo land and the risks involved with that, so we'll see how that goes. So here we have the report center from our Crow Canyon report manager where you can create reports. You can see reports listed on the left. Here's a report in the report center being shown. You see a lot of capabilities at the top of the ribbon bar there to edit or delete, schedule, delete, make a PDF, print it, put further filtering elements on it. And then in Office 365, we also have these capabilities. At this point, I jump into the demo. So let's do that and go here and move this over so that we have the, okay. All right. I'm showing a demo in Office 365. Now, I want to point out that virtually everything that I show you here also is on premises. We have two different environments that we run from. We have on premises with web parts, with the solutions based on that. We also develop the same set of solutions running on the app model in the Office 365. So right here is an example of reporting with that kind of immediate report where you see tiles. We call this tiles and dials, but you have a dashboard. We have the overdue tickets, tasks. We also have configurable workspaces here where there's a dashboard showing overdue tickets and different graphs you can plug in here. Easy to change these in and out according to what your needs are and make spaces that are workspaces that are very appropriate for your particular requirements or your managers or your staff. Quite a lot of fun, quite interesting to do that. So that's kind of the immediate view. You've got the dashboards. You can click here and see all 14 tickets. Okay, let me show you the tickets. Here's all the overdue tickets for that drill down aspect I was talking about there. So back to the dashboard. Up here you see there's a report center. Okay, here's a report center in Office 365. It's showing the list of reports right here. We can switch from report to report, and it will show on the right-hand side. There's different kinds of reports, bars, columns, pie charts, those kind of things. You can control the colors. I mean, they don't have to be purple and green like this, but that's all part of the color schemes you put together. But here, here you have a list of reports that are easily accessed through the report center, and you can go down and just generate any view any report you want. The place where the reports are generated is in the Manage Reports section over here. So in Report Manager, we have a list of the reports, and you can edit or delete them. And if we want to create a new report, there's a new report down the bottom. And so we can easily create a new report right here. We would just go tickets by requester, and who requested the ticket. We're going to select from the tickets list. We're going to select all items. All items, because you have any view you have on that tickets list will show up there. It's going to be a chart, a bar chart. We have a selection of different kinds of charts here, a bar chart. And we're going to call this the requester, the person making the request. Of course, that'd be the requester field on the ticket. And then we're not going to have anything on the x-axis, the y-axis, I mean. And the value will be, it can be just as well case ID as anything, the count. And we use the default theme, and we'll make sure we show it in the report center. And then we can even preview it before we save it. And you see in real time generating this tickets by requester report here. Here we see that there are 27 tickets from admin account, 11 from here, or 110 from Pavan. So that report's right there, generated quite easily through this report manager just by selecting what list, what view, what type of chart. And then if I save it, it will become part of that report center that we were just looking at. So we'll have to report saved successfully. Here we go. So we're over here, and if I refresh this screen, we should have another report I just created called tickets by request. So we'll see if that shows. Yep, right here, ticket by requester. There we go. And here you see the same chart, 22, 27. Colors again are part of that theme that we were talking about. There's two choices. One, you can select preset colors, or you can just have them randomly decide to put the colors up there. That's another whole thing we could drill into if we were into the report manager. If we were doing a webinar strictly on report manager, we could go into all those details. In fact, there are some videos and stuff online on how to use it, how to use this report manager, and it's up in the App Store as well as it comes with our program. Now, the thing is, we looked at these configurable workspaces. So these can be reports that you generate can be added into these spaces. If you say you didn't want that one, you wanted to see some other report here, you could add that in by going to page, edit the page, and this is in the manager dashboard. Any page you created, if you have workspace pages, any page you want, you can come in and go here. So there we go. So we edit this web part, and when we edit this web part, this is Office 365 now. I mean, these are things going on right in real time, real live. So now we see those reports. We have ticket by requester, and I could change it to that report. Then do OK, and it shows up here. Report saved successfully, and then it would be I can come in and manage this title here to tickets by requester. I mean, you know, there's, let's see, instead of staff load, it'd be tickets by requester. Tickets by requester. There we go. And apply that and do OK, and that becomes the new report that's in that workspace section that we were just looking at. So see, apply, here we go. Let's see if it did it. And we now have tickets by requester right there in the workspace showing up instead of that pie chart that was there previously. See? So then we stop editing. Now in that workspace, we have the new report we just created. It's also available in that report center. And of course, you can go back and manage and edit it and change parameters or do different kinds of reports, whatever you want to do. So that's quite a powerful tool that can be used for the purposes of reporting and analytics. So in our on-premises and our Office 365 applications, we developed this report manager. It's a web part in on-premises and an app inside of the Office 365 environment. Now, in addition to this, I mean, it's not the only way to do reporting, of course, inside of SharePoint or Office 365. There's another tool called Power BI. I'm sure you've probably heard of it. So let's look at that for a moment as another alternative way. The thing is, here at Crow Canyon, we're not trying to preempt Power BI or obscure any tools. We make all the capabilities of SharePoint and Office 365 fully available because we know the need for reporting and analytics is very important. Whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat, as they say, but whatever works for you is the way that, you know, we want to make available and not make that unavailable. So let's go look at Power BI now. Power BI is a lot of fun. It's kind of interesting. Here's the basic way components. Let me explain a little bit in case anybody's completely new. This is a Microsoft kind of reporting tool engine, reporting tool that could be used for any kind of data source, really. I mean, it has links to many, many, many data sources that have nothing to do with SharePoint and Office 365. It can link out to innumerable sources and then pull that in. And it's more, you know, you have to be somewhat of a power user or Excel, you like databases to get used to it. But it does have a lot of capabilities. So there's three components to it. One is the desktop. I'll show you that in a minute, where you generate and create the reports. You then publish them up to this BI service, which is available in the cloud, and people can view and see those reports that you created and published. And then mobile, it makes them available on the mobile device, easily on the mobile with responsive design. Here's building blocks of this. If you go to www.powerbi.com, there's numerous amounts of learning materials and good stuff up there, videos to really get in depth, and maybe we'll do another webinar where we really explain or go deep into this, but this is more or less a cursory view of it, and we'll see what happens. So we have this idea of building blocks of Power BI, different visualizations, data sets. Data sets is the data you use to build the reports, and dashboards and tiles. They have their kind of own terminology up there. So the next thing we're going to do is go actually right into Power BI desktop here. So let's do that. Here it is. Just clicked it. I have it loaded already. Here's Power BI desktop. This is a desktop application, free download from Microsoft. And you can do, I built a report already. Let's look where that report's coming from, okay? Let's see. It's over here. There is, up on Office 365, a site, here it is right here, in our Office 365 help desk for assets. Let's go over to assets. Oh, wait, this screen over here, sorry. Too many screens. Here it is, assets. Same place, it's just in a different browser. So we have all, you know, here's 19 assets listed in our program. Asset category, status, department, location, vendor. So you see the data is here. The data is here in Office 365 list. This could be tickets, it could be any kind of data source. So moving that out of the way for the moment. Now let's go back and see what I did to get it. This is running on my desktop. So I go to Get Data, Many Sources of Data. You go to More. Now you have, again, them listed, and again, worlds upon worlds of data sources there, but we're focused on SharePoint list. So in the SharePoint list, it's going to ask me the URL for that, which I put in for that asset list, the site actually. And then it pulled in this data from the assets into this Power BI data set here inside of my desktop, you know, Power BI desktop right here. Kind of cool, huh? So here's the data right here. Or you can look at it another way right here. Again, you have the 19 tickets Here they are, 19 tickets we just showed here. So doing a vis-a-vis kind of, you know, apples to apples here. You have your 19, you know, listed here, and now that data set's been pulled into Power BI. And of course, it's more technical names and that kind of stuff, and yada yada yada. But you know, it's there. And then to build a report is very simple. You just select it, and it builds the report. I selected a bar chart, stack column chart, I guess they call it. I put the axis to be the category, just dragged it over from here to here. This is the full list of all the fields in that asset program. Quite a long list, huh? Look at all those fields. But they're all part of the asset program that we have, so I selected asset category, and then I wanted a count of it, so now we have the right here, we're viewing it. Now what's also interesting on this, I think, is you can go here and find another field, and such as location, put it on there, and now you see how it changed to say, okay, these are how many are in Benicia, these are how many are in Boston, these are how many in Dallas, these are how many in New York City of that type of computer equipment. Whatever you want to do here. You can also make this larger. Maybe it'll be better if it's larger. And stop that nonsense. So here it is larger, right? And you can see it much better. Probably you guys on the webinar can see it better since I made it larger. So different category, you know, category of computer with location of New York City. And so you make some really interesting charts. Now, what a report is in their world is you'd have pages and pages of these stacked together, kind of like that manager workspace I was showing you, where a configurable workspace where you put all together and make page after page of a report and send it somewhere. How do other people see this if it's on my desktop? Well, then you have to publish it. So you publish it, which I have done already. And then if you go to your SharePoint, I mean your Office 365, and you go to the app launcher and you find Power BI, you can open it up, and it will open it up into your Power BI service now. We're not in the desktop, now we're in the service, Power BI service. I published this. Now this is just some junk they put here, or, you know, templates or examples, I guess you'd say. But you see asset categories published here. I published it from the desktop. I called it asset category, and I published it up here. Now it's available here in my screen. And if I do a refresh, I can, you know, it refreshes data. I think I published this. Oh yeah, I'd have to publish this one again to overwrite that. Let's do that. We have a little time. So I'll publish this one up there. Do you want to save changes? Save. Working on it. So it's publishing it up to the BI service, which is my workspace. See, there's various places on there's my workspaces. There's migrate to Office 365. And let me expand this. See, they got two different workspaces here. So I created this workspace and I wanted it to go to my workspace. So I'll select, replace, yes. So it's publishing it up there. Successful. I could open it from here, but I already have it open over here, so I'll just bring it over. Do a refresh of this. I should do it. Let's see what's going on here. I think it's refreshing this. Let me see what it's doing. Remove, no, refresh. Anyway, the point is, you know how live demos go, but the point is that that would be published here. The new one I just modified would go up here and replace the one that's here right now. In fact, I probably could delete this, remove, delete from my service, go here, republish it, and have the new one up there with the right data in it. Replace. Anyway, so the point here is that we're getting a lot of usefulness out of the Power BI, you know, using data from our application, so that we don't want to get lost in the weeds here too much and realize that what we're doing this for is to provide that continuous cycle of improvement, or that analytical side of things, where we can, how we make these processes better. We're getting, so let's go here and see if that got up there. Asset category. Yeah, there it is with the changes on it. Okay, good. Yeah, it worked. So here we go, having a, you know, new chart up there, republished. You can see it went from the desktop to the service. I don't have a mobile device to show you, you know, through a webinar, but it would be on a mobile device also if I just logged into this service. So it's quite a useful capability to another way to report. more involved, as you can say, or more, bringing in different elements, and you do have to kind of have a feel for this kind of like data side of things, I guess, to really get good reporting. Again, you have to have the data, like I said earlier, good data, and you have excellent reporting tool, but unless you have the good data, you have to know who and what and why, what report you're generating, what for. It's fun to play with it, but there's also a purpose behind this of generating the kind of reports you need to be useful for whoever is the viewer, whether it's a staff person or a technician or manager or the CEO or whatever. So you can apply that properly. Use this tool for that larger purpose of making the continuous improvement, getting the analytics and stuff you need for how staff is performing or where the bottlenecks are or whatever data is important there. So I hope that's been useful. We have what I was going to go into right now after showing you the report manager from Canyon, which is more embedded in the Office 365, and the opportunities with Power BI, if you want to use that. I was going to talk about how this applies to our Nitro platform. How does it relate to reporting? So we're back to these three pillars of UI, UX, workflows, and reporting. And Nitro is an application layer Canyon developed in SharePoint and Office 365 that gives us the flexibility and capabilities to develop the applications that we have there. IT help desk, assets, equipment, all those. Underlying it is this Nitro application layer, and one part of that layer is the reporting, and that's what we've been covering in this session right now. We use it for out-of-box applications and for custom applications. So here's kind of a diagrammatic view of that, where there's SharePoint or Office 365 at the bottom, or underlying foundation, you might say. And then our Nitro layer uses UI, UX capabilities, workflows and processes, and reporting and analytics to provide really powerful, capable applications inside of SharePoint or Office 365 or custom development projects. So whether you're working with us and doing Canyon applications or developing on your own, these are three considerations that we found very important in application design. If you are interested in Canyon, of course, I'm happy to talk to you and do more demos and find out what your needs are and how this applies. But I think even in general application design, UI, UX, workflows and processes, and reporting and analytics are really the three pillars that make an application powerful and useful and capable and provide all the needs that are there. Now, I just want to point out one thing about our Nitro layer. We developed it in Office 365. We developed 100% native using Office 365. It was the whole development that did not use sandbox solutions, right from the scratch, native to Office 365, no legacy on-premises stuff. At the same time, we also continued our development of this, development of the on-premises version of Nitro. Very powerful. We keep going with that. Some great things you can do on-premises that you can't do online due to the fact that you have the servers in-house or in your network. So there's reasons to keep both of those going. We have customers in both worlds, the Office 365 and the on-premises. We use our Nitro platform to build these applications that serve organizations around the world. Right now, there are many in use, whether in Office 365 or SharePoint. There's help desk, asset management, customer support. You might have to read the list. It's there. You can see it. We also have other ones serving a large range of core business needs. And this has been, the success of this has been, we realize, because we consider those elements of the UI, UX, how people enter information in, how the workflow, all the capabilities of moving through the process and getting it resolved. But also the one we're covering today, that's reporting and analytics. These applications can provide real value by helping you go back and see how you can continuously improve, how can you do things better. And there's various tools in there like our report manager or Power BI or the immediate things like dashboards, list views, workspaces, whatever is needed to surface, as we say, to surface that information in an actionable way. We also do a lot of custom projects. We're working on a claims management program for an insurance provider, a large project. It's quite interesting. We do critical essential assets for a nuclear power plant. They're managing their assets through our software. They have to be sure that that nuclear power plant is running and all the assets are maintained according to the strict guidelines of the regulatory agencies. and the people using them are trained properly and certified. So things like that are what we're doing with the custom projects. Quite interesting places we go beyond our out-of-the-box application. And then, okay, so let's talk about next steps. We have recordings of the previous sessions. We have in the video library under webinars. We'll also be saving this one and putting that up there. Doctor it up a bit, but we'll put it up there. And then blogs. We're putting out a lot of blog articles. Also, I didn't mention here, but we're going to a lot of shows. I was up in Redmond, SharePoint Saturday last Saturday, and we're going to Sacramento this Saturday. We'll be at the San Francisco SB TechCon, which is December 5th, 6th, 7th, around that time. And then right after that, back to back, we're going to Chicago. Hey, we're the Cubs won. Everybody's probably still celebrating by the time we get there, December 7th and 8th. No, 8th and 9th, the end of that week. That's called SharePoint Fest. It's at a McCormick Place. Great place to get some good, both of those, SB TechCon and SharePoint Fest. Great places to get good information, attain training sessions. We have discount codes we can provide for you if you are interested in going. And we hope to see you at these places in person, or we also can do webinars, online. Contact us by email. Oh yeah. How can I forget this? We have 2 webinars coming up next week focused specifically on our application. Now, these are product demonstrations. They're not general, talk about SharePoint Office 365. We're going to show our asset management program. We're going to show our equipment tracking. So be sure to register for that. These are free. If the times are convenient and you're interested, there's the URL down there. We'll send these out in an email, follow-up email to this this webinar right here. And make sure you have all this information you need. And then there's also many ways to stay in touch with us. Follow us on Twitter. Go to LinkedIn. You can follow us on LinkedIn or connect with me if you want, Scott Restivo. We have a blog, as I mentioned. Sales, we're always glad to talk to you and find out what your needs are. And, of course, you can call us and talk to us directly. So thank you very, very much for attending and spending time with me on this webinar in Crow Canyon today. We hope to hear from you and that this was useful and of value to your work in the SharePoint and Office 364 world. Thank you very much.